Okay, focus in on that for you. Look at how black that is. That carries all the current for the light and the motor. So that is quite nasty. Might redo that contact as well. That looks pretty bad. But this will cause, when this is bad, or when it needs to be cleaned out, it'll cause the light to flicker and the motor to kind of judder around with the light flickering in and out. So yeah. What does it say on it? Hansen Manufacturing Company. Okay, that's cool. So this is a kind of brittle plastic, so you really want to be careful of it. Let's take a look at that sucker. Yeah, look at how nasty that is. Here is the fiberglass pencil. It's more of an artist kind of supply kind of thing. But this does really good at cleaning that stuff out after you get the oil out. And when I reassemble this, I will put super lube or dielectric grease or something in there to help out. Here is the slip ring all disassembled. Pretty easy to do. I wanted to show you just how I did it. I didn't want to film it. We got the wires removed here. That was pretty straightforward. All I did was I used my soldering iron. This one was the easiest. I just touched the soldering iron to where the wire stuck through, and that was super easy to get that off. This one was a little trickier. You had the tabs that were bent over from these pieces. After the wire was removed, I used a combination of tools. This is a solder pult, or a solder sucker as it were, that got the bulk of it off. And then I used this desoldering braid along with some flux that I put on top of it. Let's see here. Here's the flux that I used. So you just put some flux on the solder joint there. You lay this over the solder, and then you put the soldering iron on top, and that will remove the solder. I didn't want to overheat this piece of plastic, so I did it very quickly with a hot soldering iron. That worked out really good. The reason I wanted these off, particularly the center one, is whatever flux they used or cleaner they used last time kind of got behind it. And I just wanted to get everything really clean. So now it's time to clean it up. I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol and go to town. And then I might take a little Scotch-Brite to this guy, clean it up, and then we'll pack it up again. Alright, got everything nicely cleaned up. I used some contact cleaner actually to spray in here after I loosened it up. And I took a little bit of Scotch-Brite and got all the contacts nice and clean. Recurved the edges on one of them. Turned out really nice. And here's the other thing that's a big difference. Look how nice and shiny these are. The main one here has a pit where it sat at one point for a long time. Probably just not moving and got a little burn, must have. But that's a lot cleaner now, so that should be okay. This guy, the small inner one there, that actually had some dark spots on it, so where that was heating up, so it was way overdue to get cleaned out. So this is what I'm going to use. I did some research, and this is Super Lube says it is perfectly acceptable to use it as a dielectric. So I'm going to put a thin layer on. Going to assemble everything here. And another thing nice about pulling these out is I can actually set this together and look through this clear housing and make sure I'm getting enough pressure on those pads when I close it. And one of them really wasn't, so it's definitely a good advantage to be able to do this. Oh, and the wire I got. I had some wire in my stash. I made sure it was rated for the correct temperature. But this stuff, I chose red and black. Is what I had. This is from a light fixture or something. And this is just way more flexible than the original stuff. So I'm going to wire that into here and we'll move on to the next step. How these are attached is the wire is brought in the side here, and then this tab is folded over it and then soldered. So what I've done is I've pre-soldered the end of this wire. I just finished this one up, and I'm going to fold it back over, solder it, then we'll be done with it. So I ended up resoldering the wires on this piece because when I redid this piece, I ended up doing the wires the opposite. I had originally the black went to the inside. I wanted to change that anyway, but so now the black is on the outside instead of redoing this. This piece is much easier to redo, so I pulled the wires out, cleaned up the holes, and put them back in the correct orientation. So I feel this is better anyway to have black on the outside since you got a big metal pole going through the center of this thing, or the motor is going through this piece, I should say. But yeah, so that's just something that happened. Let's put it together and see how it works. That'll work real nice. Alright, let's keep going.